Hi, I'm Nick Hernandez. I work at Panorama Education as a product manager. And what I spend my time doing each day is working with engineers, working with design teammates, and working directly with customers to build a product, in our case, a web application that meets the needs of the customer. I graduated from a North Texas high school and went to a state school for undergrad. I originally majored in biology and literature, eventually ended up focusing on sociology. My sociology degree informed in an indirect way and in some direct ways a lot of what I did next. I spent a year as a volunteer with an organization called City Year, moved up to the Seattle area, and got connected to the education community up here and have never left. From that early experience with City Year, I worked with schools, I worked with the school district and a lot of community partners on their education practices, on their use of data and technology tools and technology systems. And ultimately went back to school for a master's degree, switched from working at the school district directly to working in product. I grew up in North Texas between Dallas and Fort Worth. My parents split up when I was pretty young. We had what we needed, but we were constantly aware of whether or not we would have enough money for food or electricity that month. I started working pretty much as soon as I could. Around 15 or 16, I got a job at Target, working in the deli, and it helped pay for some of the household expenses where I could to just try and help out. Paying for college was not easy. Nobody in my family had gone to school. People didn't know about applying for scholarships or applying for grants, even getting the FAFSA filled out. And so it was tough. I worked at least a full-time job the whole time I was in school. There was a couple of years where I worked 2 jobs and I took a semester off to try and catch up at some point. There were times where I knew I couldn't do everything and had to just decide what was going to be good enough. Took an extra year, but was able to graduate and move on. The thing I love most about my current job is the variety of people I get to work with. I work with students and customers directly. I talk with principals and educators of all kinds. I also work with engineers and work with design professionals. And what's interesting about that is I get a lot of different perspectives on the work that we're doing and on the product that ultimately I'm building and helping design for people. And it's never a dull moment. I'm always learning something from somebody. The turning point for wanting to do this work really came early on. After I graduated and moved to Seattle, I started working in education in the Seattle area. Right away, encountered the challenges that people had with getting all the information they needed to do the work that they were trained to do and to do what they were best at. Ultimately settled on wanting to work in a more direct way, building things that help educators do their work and be more effective in their work with students. One of the most interesting things about the discipline is product management really crosses many, many different industries. I work in software, specifically in education, but there are product managers at Google, there are product managers at Spotify, there are product managers at TikTok. What's amazing about the work is that the principles and some of the practices that help you be really effective as a product manager are applicable almost anywhere. I would recommend find a couple of products that you particularly enjoy, things that you like using, things that you use every day, and start thinking about how you would make them better. Curiosity is such an important part of being a product manager, and I personally think curiosity is such an important part of being a human. And in a systematic way, I get to practice being a curious human all day, every day.